Shalane from TSC Tuition, and today I'll be talking about how to edit your persuasive speech draft. Now, I am recovering from a cold, so please excuse the delightfully nasal quality to my voice today, but the time of the year for the Persuasive Speech SAC is coming very close, so I thought I'd better make this video now. Let's say you've already done the research, you've already planned for it, and you've written a draft for your persuasive speech. What next? If you're like any of our students, you probably have a draft for a 14-minute speech on your hands. Now, this isn't a problem if your speech is allowed to be 14 minutes, but unfortunately for most students, the time limit is somewhere between 4 to 7 minutes. So how do you cut out half the contents of your speech and yet maintain the integrity of your arguments? The overriding principle we need to apply to any speech editing process is to really think about what your main point is. Have a look through your speech and really examine every segment that you've written. Do they help you make your overriding point? And does it position the audience so that it's easier to accept what you're saying? Does it manipulate their emotions so that your solution sounds like the most reasonable one? Our suggestion to our students is to cut out any large portions of the speech that doesn't help you make your point. Once you've done that, then it's time to look at it on a sentence-by-sentence level. Go through every sentence that you've written and apply that same scrutiny to it. Because your speech is so short, remember 4 to 7 minutes is not a lot of time, think about every sentence that you've written. Consider what purpose that sentence serves. Does it provide your audience with information that will manipulate them into thinking that your solution is reasonable? Does it lead them to feel a particular emotion that makes them particularly vulnerable to what message you're selling? Does it provide an answer to an oppositional argument? If a sentence doesn't serve a really good purpose, then it needs to be cut. Once you've cut down your speech by doing this, that is, cutting out large portions, as well as looking at it sentence by sentence, you probably now have a speech that's a more reasonable length. Now it is time to look at your speech on a phrase-by-phrase level. Look at every sentence that remains very closely. Is this possibly the most efficient way for you to say this sentence? Can you cut out any extraneous words? When we're listening to a speech, it requires extra work on our behalf because a written text is not the same as natural speech. When you're having a conversation with someone, you never really have to sit and think really hard about what it is that they're saying. That's because natural speech comes to us naturally. That flies out the window when we're writing a speech. All of a sudden, we're listening to a written text. And when we write, it is not the same thing as when we say something. Often, it's more convoluted, it's longer, it uses phrases that we naturally wouldn't use in everyday life. All of this puts pressure on your audience to work harder to make sense of what you're saying. So you, as the speechwriter, need to tread that fine line between sounding formal enough to be authoritative and natural enough so that it's easy for your audience to understand what you're saying, and therefore hopefully accept what you're saying. Doing this takes time and effort. So I would encourage you to really make the time after you've written the draft to work on the editing process. And hopefully you'll end up with a speech that is within the time limits and very effective. So I hope that was helpful. Again, I apologize for the nasal quality to my voice, but if you'd like to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe to all my social media channels. I don't have a cold all the time, so this nasal quality won't be here forever. And if you'd like to get some one-to-one tutoring in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, please contact us and we can send someone out to you. Thanks for watching.